Hi everyone. In this video we are going to discuss about water uptake by plants. In previous video we have already discussed about the structure, that is adaptations, and the function of root hair cells. And we know that root hair cells present in the roots of the plant, they play a very important role in absorbing water and minerals from the soil. Okay. Now once this water is absorbed from the soil by root hair cells, this water has to be conducted to various parts of the plant like stem, leaf, okay, and maybe the fruits and buds, flower, etc. Okay. Now from root hair cell, this water first has to travel to the xylem tissues. Okay. We know that xylem tissues are the vascular tissues and they help in conduction of water and minerals from root to different parts of the plant. So what pathway does this water takes in order to reach to the xylem from root hair cell? We know that this root hair cell absorbs water and minerals from the soil. Okay. So this root hair cells, they absorb water and minerals from soil. Okay. And after they absorb water and minerals from the soil, this water has to be traveled to xylem tissues, okay, in order to get conducted to various parts of the plant. Okay. Now from root hair cell to reach to xylem tissue, what are the different cells which this water has to cross through? Okay, we will look that in this video. Now first understand the cross section of root. Okay. Now we know that the outermost layer of the root is actually known as epidermis. Okay. The another name for this layer is epiblema. So epidermis or epiblema, they both are same and they form a kind of protective covering in the external surface of all the organs of the plant. Okay. And from this epidermal cells only the root hair cells, they arise. Now after epidermis, there is, there are this group of cells. Okay. So all these group of cells are known as cortex cells. Okay. And then comes the next layer of cell which is called endodermis. Okay. Endo means inside and epi means outside and dermis means layer. Okay. Layer. So epidermis means the layer of cells present outside the root on the external surface of the root, and endodermis means the layer of cells present inside the root, okay, on the inner surface of the root. Okay. Now this layer is actually endodermis. Okay. And inside this endodermis we have the entire vascular bundle. Okay. Inside this endodermis we have entire vascular bundle. This vascular bundle consists of vascular tissues, that is phloem and then xylem. Okay. This is your xylem tissue. Here actually the xylem tissue is divided into protoxylem and metaxylem. This is just an additional information for you. Protoxylem means the xylems which are newly formed. Okay. These xylems are newly formed and later on these xylems, they undergo development, more and more development, and then they form metaxylem. Okay. So that's why metaxylem is actually present towards the center and these protoxylem are present towards the outer side. Okay. And these yellow color cells in between these xylem tissues, these yellow color cells are of phloem. Okay. Phloem helps in translocation of food, that is translocation of sucrose. Okay. From source to sink. Now this was the basic structure of cross section of root. Now let's see how water passes through root hair cells. Okay. For example, these are your actually epidermal cells. Okay. Now one of the epidermal cell is having long, thin and hair-like extension which is called root hair. Now water is absorbed by root hair cells. Okay. These are the soil particles. Now in between soil particles we have water. Okay. Around soil particles we have water and minerals are dissolved in this water. So water enters inside this root hair cell by the process of osmosis. Okay. And minerals are also absorbed here by the process of active transport. Now this water and mineral actually passes through the root hair cell. Okay. And then it has to cross these cortex cells. Okay. and after crossing all the cortex cells, it has to pass through the endodermis layer. Okay, so this is your actually endodermis layer. Okay, and from endodermis, this water and mineral directly enters into the xylem tissues. Okay, so these are your xylem tissues. Okay, so the pathway of water through the root is first root hair cells, then cortex cells, endodermis, and then finally to the xylem vessels. And now this xylem vessel will carry it to different parts of the plant. Okay, now let's see that from this root hair cell till xylem vessel. Okay, what are the different ways by which water moves? There are three different ways by which water actually travels from this root hair cell, okay, from this root hair cell to the xylem, okay, and these are apoplast, symplast, and transcellular, okay. Now apoplast pathway here, okay, the apoplast pathway of water conduction is actually represented by this red color line, okay. As you can see, there are cells, okay, and this water is actually moving through the intercellular space present between these cells, and finally it reaches to the xylem. Okay, so in apoplast pathway what happens is there are cells, okay, means cortex cells are present, okay, and in between these cortex cells we have intercellular spaces, okay. So this water actually moves through this intercellular spaces, okay. That means this water do not get inside the cell. It do not enter inside the cell. It only moves through the intercellular spaces and then reaches the xylem tissue. Okay, so this happens in apoplast pathway. Okay, apoplast pathway of water movement from root hair cell to the xylem. Next is your symplast pathway. Okay, what happens in symplast is this symplast and transcellular pathway is actually known as cell to cell path. Okay, that means in this case, in both of these symplast and transcellular pathway, water actually enters inside the cell. Now what happens in symplast is this green color line actually represents symplast pathway. Water enters inside the cell and stays only in the cytoplasm. Okay, as you can see this green color layer, this water enters inside the cell and stays only in the cytoplasm and moves through the cell and finally reaches the xylem. Okay, so for example, you have these two cells. Okay, this is a cell wall, and then you have cell membrane. Okay, and then you have vacuole. So this bigger, this bigger circle is vacuole. Okay, and you have cell membrane and cell wall, and these are your cytoplasm. Now what happens in symplast pathway is water will enter inside the cell, okay, but it will only move through the cytoplasm. Okay, it will only enter inside the cytoplasm of the cell and finally will reach to the xylem tissue. Okay, and in the third case, that is transcellular pathway, which is represented by this blue color line. Okay, water enters inside the cell and it also enters inside the vacuole of the cell. Okay, that's why it is called transcellular. That means it completely enters inside the cell. Okay, so this blue color line you can see here clearly, water has entered inside the cell and it's moving through the vacuole. It's moving through the vacuole of each cell in order to reach till the xylem. Okay, so in transcellular pathway, the water enters inside the cell and moves through the vacuole in order to reach till the xylem tissue. So these were the three pathways taken up by the water in order to reach from root hair cells to the xylem. Only this much in this video. Take care and bye-bye.